So I have no idea what I'm doing right now. The trailer has been out for like probably even a week by the time I edit this. Probably seen plenty of other people talk about this topic, like this film sucks. This film is going to be the worst. What were they thinking? Then you have other people who are like, oh, this is the best thing ever. It's like, oh, fresh. It's like, yeah. Me, the nameless nobody, wants to try and put his own stuff out there amongst the sea of reactions. I do hope that I can talk about it and provide some alternative perspectives or thoughts about just this in general. When I first watched this trailer, I was just mesmerized and taken in by the fact that, hey, look, new Transformers trailer. Looking back on it, the trailer seems rather empty. Not empty in the sense of that there's nothing there. We don't really know what exactly is going on. We have some people that we may think are the villains, but we don't even have a confirmed antagonist. Since we have like less than 3 minutes of actual footage to go through, I understand that anything that is said about this, it's all purely speculation, theorizing, and just a gut feeling. Same with anyone else who just says that this is outright bad. We don't know that yet. We have to look at the positives and the potential negatives, not that it is all good and bad. This is absolutely outside the normal. A majority of the time, if not all of the time, from the Michael Bay era to the Rise of the Beast era, from all of their TV shows, excluding like Rescue Bots or something, and all of their games, there is always just Autobots and Decepticons. Sometimes you'll have a big bad or a third party or something in there. Very rarely do we deviate from that path, and that is not bad. I don't dislike it. I'm not fatigued by it, but I do think that a lot of other people would be. If you're not like a hardcore fan who's watched it for a while, I'm very happy that they are trying something different, something new. This is an origin story for all of these Transformers, and I'm looking forward to see what they do with that. Personally, I've been worried about the stagnation or decline of Transformer fans besides the hardcore ones. I would like to see something to bring a new audience in, to give it a chance for others to enjoy and understand that this franchise, or at least this world, is cool. I think it's awesome to see the Transformers in almost any sense of media. I want to see more fans and I want to see more of this. Now, on the flip side, there is that concern just because it feels as though this also is a superhero movie in disguise with just Transformers plastered on it. The first thought that comes to mind is Marvel. And when I say Marvel, it is not based off of the cast list at all. It's just very ironic that it feels like a Marvel film, and then you see the roster. First, we obviously have Chris Hemsworth, who is Thor. Then we have Brian Tyree Henry, who plays as Jefferson Davis, Black Widow with Scarlett Johansson. Lawrence Fishburne. He's the guy that plays Bill Foster in Ant-Man and the Wasp. And I've never seen the show MODOK. I honestly forgot it even existed, but I noticed that John Hamm plays as Iron Man in there.
We're trying to have a work party and you're out here bumming everyone out, talking about death and stuff?
And solely because there's a Hulk meme involving him, I'm going to say if Steve Buscemi is spiritually associated with Marvel, and you can't change my mind, it's already done. The actors themselves have done a lot of things in their own right without being involved with Marvel. It's just very ironic if that hasn't been stated enough, because in addition to that, when watching with a friend, they were like, hey, if I had closed my eyes and listened to this, and you guys told me this was something for Guardians of the Galaxy, I'd believe it. Personally, I couldn't agree more with that, because I couldn't help at any point in time when I saw Orion Pax on screen, I couldn't get the image of Star-Lord out of my head. And to sort of defend myself as to why I'm comparing Optimus Prime to Star-Lord, all that we've seen of Optimus as Orion Pax is someone who is very free-spirited, if not curious, wanting to explore the world, but is very quippy.
So, how long do you think we'll be here?
I think someone pointed out that he didn't say anything that wasn't like a motivational pep talk.
To show him we are more than meets the eye.
Or just sass.
Thought you weren't talking to me.
And then when it comes to Megatron, he's sort of like the straight man. He is there reluctantly, if not begrudgingly, tagging along. He's in for the ride, but is very vocal about, I don't like this.
If we survive this, I'm gonna kill you!
And when we talk about Bumblebee, very straightforward. He's voiced by a comedian, by Keegan, and he's absolutely comic relief, nothing else. I would associate him with Drax if I had to. In terms of like who Alita's supposed to be, Alita is just this like badass fighter. I mean, you just see her completely just dive through a guy, drive around, kick another guy, does a whole torso flipperoo as she just gets ready to shoot and murder someone else. And it just makes me think of Gamora. And when I think of Gamora, the irony just stacks up because Star-Lord and Gamora are kind of a thing. And then you have Optimus Prime and Alita, who in some way or another either become a couple or are a couple to some degree in some of the other stuff that I've seen. And not to just give it to Marvel or anything like that in terms of why it feels like a superhero movie. Another thing that just comes to mind when I was watching this, especially when Alpha Trion's like, take these, unlock your full potential. It also gives me like that 2017 live action Power Rangers vibe as well. And where my brain's going is because it's like a ragtag group of people getting together and going on an adventure, trying to find themselves or at least prove themselves worthy. And upon doing that, they end up unlocking these powers to fulfill their destiny, given these powers for some sort of reason. And even when they have those powers, they're like goofy about it. And I know that there might be some Designs comics or something like that where Bumblebee's mask pops down and that's a reference to something. I can't help but think that that's just the visor and face mask of a Power Ranger. Regardless, a lot of others, including myself, just the general consensus is that this is not what was expected. Personally, I would have hoped to expand on what we already have. It would have been nice to see more on what they've already built, yet this is going backwards. Absolutely sounds like it's supposed to be the beginning of one of the movies, if not the most recent ones, like Bumblebee. At the same time, it feels like it's its own separate story. Overall, it just smells like a reboot. I definitely hope it's not a reboot. I think that's the least likely case. This is definitely a prologue, but how it like ties in with anything else is definitely up in the air. So I wouldn't put it with anything at the very moment and just say, hey, it's its own thing, enjoy the ride. Since this is just one trailer, I would honestly think it's unfair to say it's bad, it's good. You can feel uncertain about it. There's nothing about it that screams this is going to be the worst thing ever or this is going to be the best thing ever. In all honesty, I'm definitely going to see it. I'm probably going to watch it with my dad just because he's the one that introduced me to Transformers, so of course I'm gonna go watch it with him. I think the animation looks fantastic, and the only thing that people seem to be questioning more so is the style. That's about it, just the way it looks, not how it looks. Example being that one of my friends was just more like, I don't know how I feel about seeing his face. It's weird. He has a nose and not a mask. And that's fine, because that's honestly what Orion looks like. That's what Orion looks like. Where am I pointing at? Orion looks like.
I'm Orion Pax.
So I ask you this, friend, you know who you are. Do you prefer Optimus with or without a nose? I'm okay with these designs. I'm not throwing shade or anything. I just thought it's funny to show that there's with and without a nose.
Megatron, be gone.
So when it comes to the style rather than the animation itself, it admittedly seems more cartoony than anything else. This feels like it's advertising more towards kids, which is understandable. Getting kids to be excited about giant transforming robots is very par for the course. It's how I got into it. It just explains to me a bit more as to why some people are a bit uncertain about the actual style itself. So despite people being unsure about it, personally, I do not mind the style. When I say I do not mind, I grew up with Transformers, so I have admittedly an extreme bias when it comes to the designs. The designs of anything that looks or is inspired from Generation 1 is my Achilles heel. I love seeing different imaginations of the original designs. I can remember that I was super excited to see it in Transformers Extinction, just to see that classic Generation 1 chassis for Optimus. Overall, I do feel as though both the style, it is admittedly cartoony, more towards kids, anything towards the animation, I don't think it looks bad at all. If anyone says it's bad, I haven't seen anyone, or at the very least, no one's been like, this is the worst thing that I've seen. If I catch anyone though, just a reminder on where we came from in terms of 3D Transformers.
Rhinox, maximize!
Hey guys, yeah, again, it just looks so in pain. Ah! I would say that the voices are very fitting for the characters that are being portrayed here. The reason why I'm bringing up the voices in particular, Peter Cullen is usually the guy to be Optimus Prime. I grew up with Peter Cullen on the Generation 1 stuff.
I want you to make a special run to Autobot City on Earth.
I've heard him throughout. I love hearing his voice.
We have one last hope.
Love seeing him. He is Optimus Prime.
My name is Optimus Prime from the planet Cybertron.
If at any point in time you were watching this as a Transformers fan or just Optimus fan, whatever the case may be, and you immediately dislike the character because Peter Cullen wasn't voicing him, we haven't seen this character, and to say that there is no one else who could voice Optimus Prime, take a few steps back and recognize that there have been other voice actors in the past who I personally think have been very fitting.
Optimus Prime, Super Mode! Energon Blast!
Like Armada, Energon, Transformers Animated, I think those were very passable, if not good, Optimus Primes for who they were. If you think about Transformers Animated, that sounded like a young, inexperienced Optimus Prime.
Okay, I know we're stuck out here in the middle of nowhere on a thankless assignment, but remember, we're all cogs in a great big Autobot machine.
Not this speech again.
There's a lot of opinions when it comes to the voices for Transformers. In what we've seen, I want to say that everything and everyone seems very fitting for their role. So underneath it all, I'm pretty sure there's a lot that you can dissect and speculate about the trailer, but from the surface level, it is still, if I have not reiterated this enough, it is still very vague. There's not a lot to talk about definitively until we get more trailers or we actually see the movie itself. And if you're asking me, like, what do I mean by that? Think about it. We just know that Optimus wants to explore the world, ragtag group, and they're discovering themselves, and they may get caught up in something bigger. For example, it just seems as though that there's a lot of spaceships, and those are more than likely Quintesson spaceships. If you're not familiar with the original Transformers, long and short story of it, the Quintesson is supposed to be the species that created the Transformers originally. They sold off the Transformers to other people, with the Decepticons being military products like war machines, and then the Autobots are supposed to be the working class. They're supposed to build infrastructure and the like, and they were slaves and used as tools until they developed sentience, and then they revolted against the Quintessons. They are either like invading the planet. Yeah, I would say theory-wise that this is more so a story about the Transformers revolting against the Quintessons, because you have Alpha Trion. Usually he's there as the first one to just rise up and, you know, start an army. So without there being much information to go off of just by watching the trailer, I believe that the invasion is the weaker concept of the two. I honest to God think that it is going to be a movie where Optimus and gang try and find themselves and get involved with a revolt against the Quintessons. Something that I can't get out of my body, out of my head, is this like personal theory regarding Megatron. This is going to sound like a huge stretch as well. I feel like Megatron has some form of amnesia, and hear me out. For starters, he is the only one with a visible Decepticon logo on him. Like, that is 100% a Decepticon logo. It looks faded, like it's been there for a while. Not to mention that he seems very fixated when you see that Decepticon mask, and I feel like it's resonating with him, or he has some kind of understanding of who or what that is. If this is before the Decepticons, there's like two things. Why is it that the symbol on his shoulder is very similar to the very mossy mask that we see in the cave? In addition to that, it feels like Starscream, Shockwave, and Soundwave are already a group of some sort. Those are like the top 3, if not top 5 characters that are usually underneath Megatron. The biggest reason why I believe that he may have some sort of amnesia or there's something going on with his head is his eyes. When you look at all of the Transformers or all of the characters that we've seen, anyone that has red eyes is evil, anyone that has blue eyes is good. Compared to everyone else, D16, the old Megatron, is the only one with these like orange-looking brown-yellow eyes that seem to represent that he's a neutral character compared to everyone else. He's not good, he's not bad, you know, red versus blue. Even when he gets his like Megatron form, his classic design, he still doesn't have his red eyes compared to shot in the potential future. Admittedly, another big thing I'm thinking about is that they did this in Transformers Trilogy, where they had everyone have these designated eyes, like these are the good guys, these are the bad guys, and Jetfire, who, if you do not know who Jetfire is, he's usually a defactor, if not a guy that turns to the Autobot side. You see him on the Decepticon side, but he still only has his blue eyes, so it's a pretty dead giveaway on where he stands, or that he's going to change his side. That's honestly my humblest little theory. It's stupid. I just wanted to get out of my body. That is basically all I can think of with my tiny brain in regards to this trailer. All I can think of while being as neutral and unbiased as I possibly could. Is this supposed to be Cybertron? It feels like it's supposed to be Cybertron. Iacon, that is on Cybertron. It looks like that they're mining what I can only assume is Energon, but why is there grass? Why is there greenery and plants in these robo deer thingies? The whole appeal of Cybertron is always that it's like a factory. It's supposed to be a planet-sized factory where the Transformers were made. It's supposed to be all machine. And I do not want to get started about whatever the shifting landscape is. I can't get over the like buddy cop dynamic that Megatron and Optimus are gonna have through this entire film. You can definitely see that. It's all I can see. And like, why is Bumblebee here? I get it, he's popular, people like him, I like him. Canonically the youngest Transformer in any of the modern settings. He's supposed to be like a teenager. Young Bumblebee and young Optimus, it doesn't make sense that they're here. Why couldn't it be anyone else? Like, I don't know, Jazz?
You stay here. I'll take the plunge. Later!
Where is my cool cat Jazz? When will I get to see my beautiful beat boppin' bot again, huh? When is that gonna happen? He looks like Springer. I'm just saying that because they're both green. I only know him from the 1986 movie.
I got better things to do tonight than die.
But I know he can turn into a car and a helicopter, which is pretty cool. So I hope it's Springer. Yeah, I like Springer. Yeah.
And real fast, something that I noticed while going back through all of the footage is that Megatron already has red eyes when his fusion cannon forms. The trailer makes it look like that he is changing and transforming like Orion and the others in some sort of cave, but when you look in the background, he is somewhere else. He's not even in a cave. Clearly this happening later on afterwards, but how exactly this fits in with my amnesia theory, not exactly sure on that one. I just wanted to point it out. And as far as first videos go, this isn't the worst, but I still have a lot that I can learn from it. Learning to be like more comfortable while recording myself, making sure that the audio is better balanced, or making sure that the aspect ratio of the videos aren't kind of all wonky and it's not as jarring for the people watching it. So in the meantime, please, if you do have any feedback that you'd like to give me so I can help further improve myself, let me know down below. And also, if you have nothing to really give feedback wise, what is your thoughts on that trailer? What kind of theories do you have? I'm genuinely curious to see if anyone else agrees with my Megatron theory about him having amnesia, or if you by any chance saw any details that I have missed. All in all, thank you very much for watching. In the near future, I don't know when exactly, I do hope to go over the Transformers Netflix trilogy, kind of give a bit of a review of the first season Siege, or I could potentially go about doing a recap of some old recordings I did for streaming Koromon, doing a blind Nuzlocke. If either of those pique your interest, consider subscribing, and take it easy, friend.